A small-scale play pattern has been a part of the Transformers franchise since day one. Mini bots, mini spies, and even the small Diaclone mechs. So it's not a surprise that by the late 80s, Hasbro would make Transformers to compete with Micro Machines. Galoo's Micro Machines were a smash hit in the late 80s, a wide range of die-cast vehicles that were smaller, cheaper, and more plentiful than Mattel's Hot Wheels. Beginning in 1988, Hasbro introduced the Micro Masters, a wide array of diminutive Transformers released in theme packs of 4. These were not the hit that Hasbro was hoping for. Sure, they found some popularity in European markets, but the Transformers franchise shifting to focus almost exclusively on Micro Masters and Action Masters in North America nearly killed the franchise by 1990. Of course, we know now, after the hiatus of 1990 and the hiccup of G2, the Transformers franchise would bounce back with Beast Wars in the mid-90s, and Hasbro would have the last laugh as they bought Galoob in 98. Now, despite all that drama, there are fun and memorable figures released in the Micromaster years. And Truck Month continues with the Short King responsible for a whole mountain of controversy. Released in the penultimate year of Transformers Generation 1, Micromaster Erector rages down the roads of Cybertron, standing hard against the Decepticon threat. Despite his small size, Erector transforms into some heavy-duty construction equipment. While the alt mode is clearly inspired by real-world equipment, this is the era of Transformers where details were just vague enough that it could be a little spacey and a little sci-fi. What differentiates Erector from most real-world mobile cranes is the fact that the cab is a separate unit. This is because Erector is one of the 4 Micromaster transports, a total of 2 Autobots and 2 Decepticons. 3 of these figures turned into small-scale trucks with transformable trailer rigs. The 4th is Flat Top, a Decepticon Phantom Jet who includes a whole-ass aircraft carrier as an accessory. And this aircraft carrier also transforms into a jet. So you get a jet that can ride a jet that turns into a boat. I'd say this is unprecedented in Transformers, but we've got Broadside here to prove me wrong. Remove the cab from the crane, and one quick transformation later, you've got Erector's robot mode. Erector is a very stout and boxy robot, and if you're not familiar with the original Micromaster assortment, you might be shocked with how small they are. Mini-bots tower over these guys, and the modern Siege and Earthrise figures have a lot more definition and are far less stocky. That said, Erector is fairly unique and eye-catching considering he is bright yellow, complemented by gray and red accents. The idea behind the Micromaster transports is that the trailer sections, or aircraft carrier in Flat Top's case, would turn into a jet or sky sled for their Micromaster partner. Erector is unique in that his trailer transforms into a howitzer-style mobile cannon. This kind of makes him a little bit of a precursor to the Micromaster bases later in 89 and 90, though he's just extra concentrated. The base has a small, double-barreled turret in the center, as well as a large cannon that flips out of the crane arm, and it stands at full attention. Erector can man the battle stations using a small port system, but he can't exactly go all hands to the deck, seeing his arms are actually a little too stubby to reach the controls. But you know what? Erector was able to reach the fans. And honestly, it might be because of his unyielding character. A battle-hardened and firm soldier who's like a rock wall standing against the tide of Decepticons. Foremost, he prioritizes defense, protecting his friends, his comrades, and the world around him, rather than seeking a pointless battle, and that has gained the respect of his fellow bots and makes him a natural leader on par with Optimus Prime. And I think it's that resolute and principled character that earned him the fan nomination for the Transformers Hall of Fame. Or it could have been because of his name. Yeah, it's been a joke in the franchise for a long time now. And in fact, he represents one of the oldest, tritest, and truest jokes in the Comedian Handbook. If dick jokes weren't funny, we wouldn't make fun of people named Richard.
I'm meeting you halfway, you stupid hippies.
Rewinding here, in 2010, Hasbro created the Transformers Hall of Fame. And just like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the inductees were there for marketing reasons. But to throw a bone to the fans, there would at least be one popular vote candidate, with Beast Wars Dinobot breaking the ice, joining Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Megatron, and Starscream in the inaugural year of inductees. The fans realized they could rock the vote, and 1 year later, things got out of hand fast. You don't have to research the history of online polls to see how things could go wrong. But needless to say, Transformers fans took Erector to the top of the charts. I remember this. I was there for this. I even took part in these shenanigans. And because of all that hubbub, this obscure-ass Micromaster with a funny name was competing against legitimate fan favorites like Grimlock, Shockwave, Jazz, and Waspinator.
What the hell?
So with this pretty unprecedented event, well, unprecedented if you don't look at the internet, Hasbro had to scramble and make stuff up for a character that had next door to no media appearances in the prior 30 years. This resulted in a montage mockumentary about quote-unquote canceled concepts for Erector, including a Beast-era version of the character who turned into a beaver. I feel like there is a joke there, but I'm not barking up that tree. Erector stood true, he stood hard, and he never faltered, but he lost the fight in the end. It was a good fight, but Waspinator won. And honestly, because of this goofy campaign and all the attention on the little guy, Erector went from an ironic fan favorite to a legitimate fan favorite, receiving a few unofficial third-party figures, as well as some comic cameos. While he might be famous, he is also infamous, and because of that, it's highly doubtful that Hasbro will make any modern updates to this little guy. In fact, the name Erector is actually owned by rival toy company Meccano for Erector sets. So, outside of his original G1 release, I think this guy might be doomed to obscurity. But hey, that G1 toy is a pretty great toy. In fact, it's one of the best Micromaster figures out there. And you know what? Maybe there's some hope out there. After all, Hasbro did release Pipes and Huffer, who are also small cab Transformers. So, instead of Micromaster Generations Erector, maybe we'll see an exclusive release of Zone Kraygun, which was his less phallic name over in Japan. But before I go, I'll leave you with one last lore tidbit. You see, because he had no media appearances in 30 years, that means he didn't really have any stories. So, Hasbro had to make up a little bit of a backstory for the dude for his Hall of Fame appearance. Before the outbreak of the Civil War on Cybertron, Erector was part of the Constructicon crew. Over the decades, there's been many members of the Constructicon crew, but they all share one thing in common, the fact that they combine into Devastator. So does this mean that Hasbro played into the joke? Does that mean this story is true?
Yes, it is.
You're right. It's fact. Yes. Yes. A similar event did take place.